This week we've had a lot of questions on container gardening, and we'd like to go over some very important points that we need to consider before we start such a thing. The first thing you need to consider is a location. For vegetables, you need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight for it to be a success. Another thing is select the right container. Generally speaking, the larger the container, the less problems you'll have. It's just more water holding capacity, and also it'll be less tip over in a wind. This is a large container with more space on the bottom for stability. And this is a very good container. And remember, these containers aren't necessarily cheap, but you'll use this year after year. The same goes for the cage. If you spread that cost out over 5 or 6 years, it's really pretty reasonable. The correct size plant. Now, you can put any tomato plant in a container. The thing you have to consider is how will we support it? If it's a large indeterminate type, you need to have some way to support it. There are a lot of varieties available though that are more compact and suited to a container. But if you want a red slicer, you're probably going to be using an indeterminate, little more vigorous vine. First thing we like to do is talk about this mix. The soil mix is different than the mineral soil in your garden. This is all artificial. There's no actual soil in here. It's based with peat moss, perlite, and vermiculite. And there's even some rice hulls in there. And this is a mix that is designed to drain. And for that reason, it doesn't hold on to nutrients real well. So we'll address that a little later, but this is the mix we're going to use. The tomato we're using today is called Health Kick. It's a very unique tomato. It's a pretty recent development, but they have come out with a way to grow a tomato that has increased levels of lycopene, and which is very good for antioxidants as far as fighting cancer and all those things. But this is a very new development that they're able to do that. This is called Health Kick. The first thing I want to do when I plant this in a planter is I want to prune some of the leaves off, okay? And you have to be careful how you do this. You don't want to tear them off of the stem, but you want to pinch them off so you don't damage the stem. You should take off at least the bottom 3 or 4 leaves. One thing that's unique about tomatoes is wherever the stem touches the soil, roots will grow from that part. So we want to plant our tomatoes very deep. That's why we prune the leaves. Then you want to plant it right up to that last leaf, the last leaf that you left on. You want to plant it right to that level. Now, as this plant grows, this is an indeterminate variety, it will need some support. So what we'd like to do is put a cage on this one. Now, on a windy scenario when the plant has grown large, you may need to put this at the edge of your patio. If you have a patio that you're putting on, drive a stake in and put a rope or a wire around the pot so it helps hold it stable in a high wind. Put the cage on, push it all the way to the bottom so it holds in the soil very well, and that one's ready to go. As far as watering goes, you want to water this immediately. When you plant it, you want to water it, and if it's me, I like to fertilize right away. I know some say wait a little bit, but I think when you're in a potting mix such as this, you don't want to get behind on fertilizer. So I recommend that you feed with fertilizer right away. Now, when we talk about fertilizer, we have several kinds that we can use. This is a time-release fertilizer. It says it lasts up to 4 months, okay? The problem with that is that's figured at 70 degrees. And we all know what happens here in York County. We often hit 90, 95 degrees. This product is probably gone in a month and a half to 2 months. So it is a way to go. You can always reapply, but I prefer to go with liquid fertilizer and do it when I water. This is a fertilizer that's water soluble. You can see the 3 numbers are 20, 20, 20, It's what they call a balanced fertilizer. This I would use for the first 2 applications. And after that, I would switch to something that is designed for vegetables, 9-13-22. Okay, that's more potassium, more phosphorus. That's what fruit needs to develop. It needs more potassium. So that's pretty much it in fertilizing. You may run into some pests at some point. If you can be patient, if they're aphids, oftentimes without spraying, you can get a buildup of ladybugs that will take care of that. The ladybugs will actually take care of the aphids if you're patient. If you need to see them gone right away, there are plenty of materials, both organic and conventional, to use on that plant. One of the most frequently asked questions we get on container garden is how to water. What's the correct way and how often? When a plant is at this stage, it probably is, you might go 2 days, maybe 3, before you need to water again. But as it grows and as it sets fruit, you will definitely need to water it every day, especially when it's forming fruit. It will draw the water out of this very fast. Now, when you do your fertilizing, you can mix that with a regular watering. Just follow the label and you'll be fine. But the fertilizing needs to be done at least once a week, following the label. There are many different vegetables that you can put in these containers. We have a tomato here, but you could grow peppers in here, you could grow eggplant, hot peppers, and a container this size, you could put 3 peppers in. So that is an option also. But there are many other things that you can grow in containers. You can do broccoli, cauliflower, all the cole crops, just about any vegetable that you can grow in your garden will work in a container if you just realize your limitations and know how to fertilize it. We have a mixed container garden. This is a little unique. This is leaf lettuce, and if you can see, it's surrounding a tomato plant. This leaf lettuce is about to be harvested, and what you do with leaf lettuce is just take off the most mature leaves and use that in your salad or your sandwich, however you'd like to use it. About the time that the heat hits and the lettuce starts to get either bitter or just starts to go to seed, cut the lettuce off at ground level, take it out of there, and let the tomato take over. This particular tomato is called Sweet Treats. It's a small cherry type, but it's very compact and yields extremely heavy. Unbelievable amount of tomatoes from this one plant. Again, this is a plant that's suited to this size container. It's a small, compact plant for this size container. My name's Dave Miller from Miller Plant Farm, and thanks for joining us for your garden tip of the week.